It saddens me greatly to know that so many lifters hate lifting. Every time they walk into the gym, it's a major drag. They feel demotivated. Every single workout is a long, grueling experience and they just want to get the hell out of there. And to me, that's not the way it should be. Rather, you should love the iron. You should look forward to every single session. You should crave it when you take long periods off. So in this video, I want to identify exactly why you despise lifting weights. And I believe it has to do with dogmatic bullshit that you have been fed in the fitness community. Evil forces, if you will. So let's break this down. The first thing you need to understand is that there's no such thing as a universal mandatory exercise. Rather, there are exercises that are very effective, exercises that are extremely feasible from a time efficiency standpoint and in terms of delivering results, but we can't conclusively say that one lift is mandatory. And you see, understanding this concept will revolutionize the way you train, because I have a strong suspicion that you're doing exercises that you hate doing. What am I referring to? Well, the big three is the biggest culprit of all: the squat, bench press, and deadlift. You've been taught time and time again that if you don't do these lifts, what does it make you? A pussy. You're a pussy, you're a bitch, you're not a real lifter, you're not a real man even. At least that's what people say on the internet. If you don't squat, if you don't deadlift, if you don't bench, you're not a man, you're not a real lifter. So what do? You succumb to the social pressure, you submit yourself, and now you're doing all these exercises that you really don't care about, when in reality, you can probably build nice legs with some lunges. You can probably build some nice legs with even using the leg press machine. Not saying that this is optimal, but I'm just saying you are doing these lifts because you were taught that they are absolutely essential, that you cannot go without them. When the truth of the matter is that there are so many exercises to choose from that you can get jacked in a multitude of different ways. And bodybuilders are the greatest examples of this. Not every bodybuilder uses the same methods. Not every person in the gym who has big muscles trains exactly the same way. Some guys prefer very, very high exercise selection like myself. Others a little bit less. And there's so many ways to train. So if you don't want to do the bench press, for example, guess what? You don't have to do the bench press. In 2016, I took a whole year off benching because I didn't feel like doing it. You can easily build a nice chest off the dumbbell press. You can easily build a nice chest off even doing band pressing, close grip bench. There's no reason for you to do a regular competition bench if you don't feel like it. What about the squat? Do you despise squats with all your heart? Is it a drag every time you go do it? And do you feel that your legs are already in good size? Do you feel that you can build similar development with using Bulgarian split squats or lunges or something of that nature? I know for myself, I got bored as hell from squats. I just stopped doing it. Why the fuck should I do a squat when I already got big legs? They grow just fine from deadlifts and posterior chain work. Why should I do it? Just because society says, oh, you have to squat. Listen, you don't have to do jack shit. The truth is that you can even build a body with calisthenics. You can build a body without even doing weight training. And if you want to take it one step further, the act of lifting or the act of doing physical training is optional in itself. Technically, you could be Mr. Cardio and you'd have perfectly good health. Technically, you could sit on your goddamn couch and be sedentary. Lots of guys live that lifestyle. So what you're doing right now is a choice. It is 100% a choice because you want to get bigger muscles, you want to get stronger, you want to feel better about yourself, and ultimately you value your health. That is what it's all about. So let me ask you this. Why must you succumb to the social pressures of doing X lift? Because if you don't do X lift, you're a fucking pussy boy. Why must you listen to that dogmatic nonsense? You can build a body through a variety of different means. There's no universal way. It's not my way or the highway. If there's certain exercises that you despise, if there are certain exercises that you deem dangerous, then you don't have to perform them. You could do whatever you like. And I think that once we start getting back to lifting for fun, lifting for simple enjoyment, people are going to be a lot happier. Lifting is no longer going to be a drag. I know for myself, if I would have continued doing typical powerlifting training, squat, bench press, deadlift, fuck, I probably would have quit lifting a long time ago because I'm bored as hell from that training. I get bored super easy. I like unconventional lifts because it's fun. It's just fun to do, So the same thing for you. If you don't feel like doing a certain exercise, like a deadlift, and you want to do block pull instead, so be it. Is it really going to change your gains that much? Like, let's be honest here. Is it really going to make a difference pulling off 400 blocks for the next 5 years or pulling off the floor? You think your back's going to look a little bit bigger? You're not going to see jack shit, right? The fact of the matter is that the only mandatory lifts that exist are those found in competition. Anything else, you don't have to do it. You can do whatever you like. You can get a big chest from dips. You can get a big chest from bench. You can get a big chest through a variety of different means. So don't limit yourself to being narrow-minded and saying, okay, I have to do this lift. No, you don't have to do jack shit. Do what you want. Do what you enjoy lifting for. And this is going to bring me on to my second point. The live for yourself hypocrisy that exists out there. You see, when someone trains for aesthetics, they will be accused of validation seeking, right? They will be called validation whores, and you will hear all kinds of nasty labels, right, that are attached. Usually it's guys who are insecure about their own sexuality are going to say these things. You're going to hear a lot of just negative nonsense, right? And they're going to say that you must live for strength, right? You must go for performance, and that you have to live solely for yourself, right? Because if you try to build a body, it means you're trying to impress other people. What I find extremely hypocritical about this attitude is that the same guys who preach upon strength training are the same ones issuing dick measuring contests. What I mean is this: if you don't conform to the strength standards, you're ridiculed. You are blasted. You are called a pussy boy. You're called worthless. If a guy is stronger than you, many times the person will actually brag about his strength and try to put you down. They're going to say, oh, I'm stronger than you. You may deadlift 500, but I deadlift 700. So therefore you're worthless. But you know what's funny about this attitude? These same guys who say you should live for yourself are the ones that are making these comparisons between you and them. Isn't that validation seeking? Isn't that the real definition of ego lifting? Isn't that what it means to not live for yourself, not live for enjoyment? Because if you're constantly comparing yourself in strength and saying, oh, I'm so much better than you because I'm stronger, and you're trying to put people down because they're not as strong as you, or you're trying to ridicule someone because they don't conform to certain standards, right? For example, they don't do, conventional deadlift. They do trap bar deadlift instead. And you try to put them down. Isn't that hypocritical? Because you're the same person who's saying you should live for yourself. How can you be lifting for yourself if you're constantly trying to impress people and doing all these lifts and trying to reach these standards, That is not lifting for yourself. It is the same thing as the guy who lifts to impress women. It's the exact same thing. Except now you're not trying to impress a woman. You're not trying to get laid. You're just trying to impress some random guy on the internet who wants to see how strong you are. Isn't that real ego lifting? Isn't ego lifting doing an exercise that you absolutely despise and trying to get stronger at just so you can prove to the world of how much of a man you are? As if that's what defines a man? Do you really think that doing these dick measuring contests is what makes you a man? Is that what you believe? Listen, I'm all for competition, but that has a place in an actual competition. If you're a recreational lifter and you don't compete with other guys, right? Then there's no need for this dick measuring nonsense. You see, that is not lifting for yourself. To constantly compare yourself and have this negative attitude of, okay, I'm going to be stronger than this guy. Of, this guy is weaker than me, therefore he's worthless. It's foolishness. It's absolute nonsense, and this is why you're not enjoying your lifting. You're going to the gym because you want a strong squat. You saw everybody else squat on YouTube. You saw a guy squat 500 pounds. Now you're like, oh, fuck, I got to do it too. So now you're in the gym, you're doing these squats, when in reality, you don't give a fuck about squats. I'll tell you something. If you don't feel like squatting, don't do it. Simple as that. If you feel like you can build your legs through other means, do so. Just like I said in point number 1, if you actually live for yourself, you're going to do exercises that you enjoy. At the end of the day, if you don't compete, if there's no such thing as a rule, all you got is you. And you have to create your own standards. And that's what leads me on to my final point, strength standards. How about, instead of constantly comparing yourself to these other dudes, you just try to be the best version of you? Ever thought about doing that? How about instead of trying to have standards that are established in a competition when you're just a recreational lifter, why don't you create standards for new lifts that you find enjoyable? Why not try to raise your Bulgarian split squat? Why not? Why not try to raise your slingshot bench? Why not try to raise your Z press? Why not try to raise any lift? Why not try to raise your strict curl? Why does it just have to be common exercises that you would see, such as the big 3 or the overhead press or the weighted dip or the weight chin up? How come we can't create standards in other lifts? You see, by only having standards on these classical lifts, it stifles you. It stifles you and it forces you into this group condition. You're adhering to the social norms, right? And some of you guys are not going to enjoy doing that, just like myself. I don't enjoy doing that type of stuff. So right now, I'll give you an example, right? My buddy is doing a Bulgarian cycle, so he's training every single day, and he's doing Bulgarian split squats and reverse lunges. Why does he do it? Because he likes it. He's a 545 polar, right? But doesn't feel like doing deadlifts right now. He wanted to take a break off deadlifts, and now he's doing reverse lunges and Bulgarian split squats. Why? Because he loves it. And that's the only reason you need. That's the only reason you need. The fact of the matter is that you can create strength standards for any exercise. It does not have to be competition lifts. In fact, you can even create your own competitions. And I believe there are some federations out there, not in the sport of powerlifting or strongman, but there are other sports that test unconventional lifts. Who says you can't max out on a circus squat? You know? Who says you can't have a 3 rep max good morning, if you will? Who says you can't have a 5 rep max barbell row? You know? I understand the competition side of things because of testing, right? The issue with the formality of it is testing. Like, we can't test a barbell row in competition because there's too many variables to account for. But that doesn't mean that you can't test it for you, for yourself. It doesn't mean you can't have a 5 rep max on a snatch, grip, high pull. It doesn't mean you can't have records on a multitude of lifts that you find important. Because you know what? That's what it's all about. At the end of the day, it's all about you getting bigger, stronger, more fit, and ultimately enjoying what you're doing. See, when I go to the gym, I love it. I love every second of it because I'm doing exercise that I enjoy. If I don't enjoy the exercise, what do? I drop it. Now, of course, there are going to be some circumstances where you have to lift either way, you know, because you have a weakness. So if you have lockout strength issues, you're going to have to start prioritizing that lockout strength, you know, by doing maybe some band presses, some extensions, stuff like that, you know. Or if you have weak lower back and abs, then you got to suck up and do some lower back and ab training. And same goes for optimal periodization. You may not like doing volume work, but it's an essential part of most training systems. So you're going to do your volume work anyway, and you're going to shut up. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about the exercise selection and creating your own strength standards. I believe that you should create standards of whatever you like to do, even if it's weird. As long as it's getting you results, as long as you're happy with the development that it's bringing you, and it makes you content, it's all good. What's the issue in doing this? That, to me, is the real definition of lifting for yourself. Lifting for yourself means that you're not being pressured into following the societal standards of lifting. It means that you are still a man if you refuse to do a certain exercise. It means that you can still build an elite physique without doing these lifts. And like I said, you can build a body without weights. All right, I have lots of subscribers who do weighted calisthenics. They do gymnastics training. Some of them look better than me. Some of them probably look better than most of these natural bodybuilders you see. Right? They have excellent physiques, and they're not conformed to these ideologies. Right? They're very open-minded, and when they go do weight training, they do whatever they like because that's how it should be. Listen, if you're not enjoying this, find something that you enjoy or switch sports. Like, if for example, if you don't like the sport of powerlifting, go on to strongman. If you don't like strongman, why not try MMA? If you don't like MMA, I don't know, try something else. At the end of the day, you have to enjoy what you're doing. Like for me, if I didn't like lifting weights, I would drop it right then and there, you know? If I didn't like doing deadlifts, I would fucking stop right away. If I hated benching, I would stop right away. I would do overhead press, I would do rack pulls, I would do something that I enjoy. Because that's what it really means to lift for yourself. Lifting for yourself means that you get rid of these dick measuring contests, number one, and you stop trying to make everybody happy. That's what it is. Because if you're trying to make everybody happy, that is not lifting for yourself. It can't be lifting for yourself by definition. It is the same thing as the guy who chases girls on the beach, except now you're talking about performance. Is there really a difference between the man who chases skirts by trying to acquire aesthetics versus the man who seeks validation of other men on internet forums, online, by becoming stronger and having all these dudes say, "You're a fucking beast, man"? Is there really a difference between the two? In my eyes, they're the same issue, not lifting for yourself. And in my honest opinion, you will only reach full happiness. You will only be content with yourself. You will be enlightened in lifting once you're doing things for you, once you actually enjoy it, once you're having fun in the process. Once you reach your goals in a fun way, that's when everything flies, baby. And you know what? The same thing applies to training programming. If you enjoy bro splits, you despise full body with all your might, go do a fucking bro split. Even though it might not be optimal, the fact that you enjoy it makes it so much more worth it. I know tons of guys despise full body. They despise upper lower, push pull legs. They just want to go in and pump their muscles with a bro split. If that's what makes you happy, so be it. If you don't want to train your legs, you want to have that you know, like that cartoonish appearance, hey, it's on you. It's your life. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. If you don't feel like squatting, you don't have to squat. You can do whatever you want. I think the Hodge said it best many years ago. So that's all I really wanted to talk about in this video, man. I really hope that this video makes you see things from a new lens and it gets you out of this dogmatic way of lifting. I sincerely hope that you start lifting for yourself and you get out of these superficial concepts that is making you unhappy. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give me your feedback down below. With that said, I will talk to you all next time.